I think we are live.
Good morning, good morning. Bit late.
Are we?
Mars
yes,
Mars
we are. We are. Good morning, everybody. So it was Stuart's choice today of subject matter. So,
well, we thought that it might be a little bit of a flavour from last week's, which is about personal development and ongoing growth and all that kind of stuff. So we want to have a wee chat about progress. What is progress? What does it mean to you? What does it look like? Etc. etc. So I thought we'd have a bit of a discussion on that. So, as you like to do, what does progress mean to you, Suzanne?
Progress to me, I think, is hugely important. Good morning, Linda's on Facebook.
Morning.
Good morning, Auntie Linda.
Ooh.
And good morning, Instagram. Who have we got over here? Good morning. Pop your glasses on so you can see your comments. Good morning, Vicky. Good morning, Erin. So progress to me is something that's hugely, hugely important. And I think as human beings, experiencing progress is a really powerful thing in order to feel that sense of momentum, so that sense of progression. As human beings, we don't often like to feel stuck. When we do, we can feel trapped. And I think progress, this is particularly when working with coaching clients as well, and why a longer period of coaching works, because you are got that checking in.
Yeah.
So I measure my progress, and this is a thing that I think is really important about progress, is actually measuring it. So whether that be, and to give you that sense of achievement. So for example, I measure within my business, I've got different metrics I measure with regards to like my email list and comments and members and people that I'm supporting. Physically, I do measurements with my boxing instructor. So I physically measure my body.
You've got any choice there, have you?
No, I don't. Measure my body, measure my strength and things. What other things do I measure? I use my Fitbit, don't I? My sleep.
Oh, yeah.
So sleep is a big one for me. It's something that I think is really, really important for people to address in order to be balanced hormonally, emotionally, mentally. So I measure my sleep to track my progress there, to ensure that I'm getting enough good quality sleep. So progress to me allows forward momentum. The world is constantly changing, and if we don't change with it, then we can feel stuck.
Yeah.
So that's what it means to me.
I mean, it's like a forward or ongoing movement towards something. Whether that be a destination, an objective, a goal, an outcome, a holiday, anything like that. It's like advancement, if you like. You're going forward. I mean, you don't generally, unless you're playing with your kids, that is, generally tend to walk backwards. So you're moving that way. And it's a case of, what is it that gets you to go there? What does progress mean to you? In terms of its impact that it can actually have on you. So that was just kind of
I think it's like recognizing it doesn't have to be like exactly the same thing, like a huge thing. The same when we've spoken about goals or self-development or any of those things.
Yeah.
That it is just about recognizing that, generally we're moving forward, and it's not being dissatisfied. It's just
definitely. And there's many ways to do it. There's many ways to get your progress. Getting one big chunk of woof, there you go, with something big of development is fine. But I think that people get more out of progress incrementally as they do it gradually, because what that allows it to do in a way is it allows it to be absorbed over a longer period, rather than just one quick hit. Because you can go on a weekend's event, but if that's it and you don't do anything following on from that, I think the impact it's got on you, as you correctly say, is how does it impact you?
Yeah, I think that's really powerful actually, because when you get this sustained, like if it's habit, for example, and you're making progress, and sometimes you can feel like, oh my gosh, like I'm going bloody backwards or whatever, but actually you are progressing forwards. And when you're saying like it allows that depth when you're doing it over a longer period, rather than some people maybe achieve things. So I had a conversation with a guy recently who'd achieved an incredible job. That allowed him to shift country, which he'd always wanted to do. He shifted country. He bought his house in this country outright. And what he was struggling with was, he said, "Oh, I've just been really lucky." Right? Yeah. So I've just been really lucky that happened to me. And I'm like, no, actually, it's because of everything you have done up to this point. But because it happened so quickly, it wasn't like he was saving. He didn't have that sense of kind of self-worth and achievement. Good morning, Will. So I think it's really important that. So over on Instagram, we've got, heard a really powerful statement last week: progress, not perfection, is a big piece of work. Absolutely. Hallelujah. I love that. And I shared that with someone actually this week. Perfectionism is something that I used to struggle with. And I have a lot of friends who struggle with it, and it prevents them from doing things. And a beautiful example of this that I gave recently was my membership site. I've just shifted to a new space, and I wanted it to be perfect, and I wanted it to be finished and great and beautiful for all my members moving over. But I asked them, I was like, do you want another month in the old space, or do you want to shift over now, but it's not quite finished, but I can get your feedback and we can do it together? And they were like, we will move now. We want the support. We don't care about all of those things. So I think that's really beautiful. And often we prevent ourselves from doing things for that exact reason, that perfectionism, when actually it's the progress. Sorry for rambling on. I've now gone on a little bit of a rant, but I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and I'll share it in the comments after if I can find it, with Rachel Hollis, and I can't remember the guy's name. He's really famous. Impact Theory. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments. Do you know? No. But what he was saying, and this is to do with progress, was he was speaking about competition and how he's actually really competitive, but not in a way of I want to beat someone. He loves the challenge of the progress of the journey. So he's not actually that bothered about that, but for him, that's what fires him up, that journey to the destination rather than the actual goal or outcome, because sometimes that can be an anticlimax, but the actual process can be really, really beautiful.
Another example of that is Paul Lawrie, the professional golfer, the legend from Aberdeen, the British Open champion of 1999, was practicing early one morning. I think it was over at the Banky, one of the golf courses over there. And all he did all day was he was gripping a club, and he worked on his takeaway, not even a full backswing, all day. He never hit a golf ball. And somebody, I believe somebody asked me, he said, "You're not hitting the golf balls today?" And he goes, "No, I'm making progress." And that is bit by bit, because the whole golf swing is a culmination of a lot of little things. And it's having and learning all of them that gets you to the end result. I mean, I thought that was phenomenal, and hence the reason why he's a phenomenon that he is. So.
And I think recognizing where you are now, often we are oh, well, I've got to be amazing at this, or back to that perfection thing that someone's mentioned there, whereby we're oh, I'm failing because, for me, with my weight, for example, in my training, I'm failing because I'm not losing as much weight as I could be, and blah, 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 or they're so much better at that than me, or everyone's on a different journey, and that progress will look different for everyone. So it's appreciating where you're at, And recognizing
Yeah.
the progress that you're making and celebrating that progress. So that's why things like checking in, so monthly check-ins, I do monthly check-ins, how I'm feeling, how my month went, what did I achieve, what do I hope to achieve next month, what did I not enjoy about the month, what could I improve on. I am constantly tweaking and changing so that I can live this life that feels so aligned and so right. So monitoring it's important for me.
Last week, I think it was Erin was saying that something she wasn't too sure where to start because there was so much, and it was a case of we didn't know where to start, stop, breathe, and all that. And I think that the perfection thing is that thing that will help stop people doing anything.
Yeah.
Because the thought of perfection is so overwhelming that what's the point? When really progress, I've tried to do a number of things over time and all that, and kind of failed the outcome, but I've actually progressed during it. So I've actually learnt something during that process, which has actually allowed me to progress further in doing other sort of things. So it's a bit like, as Susie says, not beating yourself up. It's more patting yourself in the back.
Yeah,
give yourself a high five to yourself. Any step, as long as you learn something from that step, is progress. So failure, is a state of mind in some respects. But it's about learning something from that journey.
Yeah.
And that's on a day-to-day basis. I mean, the thing is, like, when can progress happen? And that's a question.
What are you asking me?
When can progress happen?
Anytime.
Anytime. Where can it happen?
Anywhere.
For example.
This conversation.
Yeah. Can be through reading a book.
Progress. Yeah.
It could be through doing new training. It could be through a conversation with somebody. If and Susie's is the stuff we do, but coaching and all that, it's not the coaching one way, it's finding a way to be coached another, reciprocatedly, if that's the right term word.
Laura's mentioned here, my mentor says done is better than perfect, and I'll give you a funny example about that in a moment. And then Erin says perfectionism stopped her with her photography. She always felt like she should be better. Took me a long time to see it. Yeah, it's so hard. We can be so critical on ourselves, and the only way to get better at these things is to keep doing it and to keep failing and keep trying and cocking things up along the way. And that done is better than perfect. I was getting all the membership stuff ready for this month, and I noticed there was for those of you who are really into grammar and detail within the membership, there's a full stop somewhere there shouldn't be on one of the images. And I'd uploaded it. It takes quite a while to upload all the content. I'd uploaded it and I was like, okay, just noticed that there. Old Susie would have had a freak out, like, oh my gosh, I need to go back into the app. I need to edit this image. I need to do this. New Susie was like, using Laura's phrase there, done is better than perfect. And so it might annoy a few people that get really, and that's the thing actually, that one thing, this is totally off progress topic, but a lot of people get annoyed about, like people's grammar and stuff. I am a writer, but my grammar is absolutely shocking, as is my spelling, but I have a message to convey. So that's why I write and that's why I speak. But as
long as you're making progress, you're okay.
As long as I'm making progress, and I'm learning along the way, very, very true. Yeah. But yeah, I know like a lot of people like on social have pulled me up about stuff like that, like, oh, you've spelled this wrong and you've done that there, and I'm like, you're missing the message, people. And
that again is another example of what we said about last week, about where your focus goes, your energy flows. So if you're looking out for people who are making mistakes, you will find them.
Yeah.
It's when you read a book, if you get told a book is terrible by somebody, go and read it. It's terrible.
Good morning, John.
You'll look for things in that book to confirm that it was terrible. However, conversely, if you get told this is the best book I've ever read, it's phenomenal, you'll look for things in that book to confirm why the book is great or phenomenal. So it's all about perception. perfection is perception, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
'Cause
and
everybody's
everybody,
view of
yeah, it
that
will
is
be different, absolutely.
Totally different. You know, so it's really a case of finding
What you're comfortable with.
what you're comfortable with, what you want to focus on, what you want to achieve, what you want to where you want to, go to, and it's making those small progresses. It's thinking every day, as you say, just thinking each day. What happened today? What was new? What am I grateful for? What impacted me?
Yeah, like not being a negative, but like where could I have done better, or like where did I do amazing? Acknowledging the areas that you've done well and acknowledging the areas that you could improve. And I think, Erin made a really valid comment there as well. And you mentioned it there, about this whole perfectionism halting progress. And that fear of failure or that fear of judgment is so big, but it's actually, that's like a core human, that's like psychology, you want to be part, you want to fit in, otherwise you would have died, so that's like a deep thing to work through, but it's really valuable working through that.
But, wanting to be better is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. If wanting to be better to be perfect, then that is something that could actually be something that is certainly holds you back. Absolutely. So wanting to be better is absolutely great. We all want to be better. We all want, better this, better that, better the other. But we have to acknowledge the progress that we're making on that journey. Because if we don't, you will get depressed, you'll burn out, you'll be miserable, you'll be terrible company, etc., etc. So it's about acknowledging all that. Because it's like, what's the opposite of progress? Mm-hmm. Some of the things that are opposite of progress are, things like staying where you are, doing nothing.
Or going backwards. Like, I don't know, people who give up smoking and then go back smoking, or you make this progress but you don't acknowledge it enough and suddenly go back. But there's an opportunity always to kind of move forward. John's saying learning to let go of perfection is liberating. It absolutely is. It's so freeing to just put stuff out there and be yourself without that fear of judgment. To accept that it's that acceptance of where you're at, and
and it is it's there's loads of things that contribute to everything. Bit of a general one, that, but it is a case of, if you put yourself out, that's when you start to see what progress you're making, how you're developing and how you're growing.
What areas, for those of you who are watching, is there any areas that you're trying to make progress with? And what steps are you taking? Is it an area that you struggle with? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel... I think that's another thing that can stop people, like you mentioned, that overwhelm as well. Feeling overwhelmed, not knowing where to go next.
Fear of judgment is a topic
in itself, for sure. Yeah, maybe that could be next week. Fear of judgment is a huge one, and I know when I wrote my book, for example, there was so much personal stuff in that book that not even some of my family members knew, that I was terrified to be judged, to put that out there, to how other people would perceive me. And fear of judgment is huge. It prevents so many people from doing things they're deeply passionate about. Creative things is a great example, art or music, or I think that's an area where
design, anything. People have,
or Erin mentioned photography, so that creative element as well. I think fear of judgment.
Go back to that guy saying, "Oh, but I've been lucky." It's a bit people saying things like, "Oh, it's only me."
What do you mean by that?
It's only me. When they do achieve something really great, and people maybe praise them or something like that, or and they say, "Oh well, but it's only me." But really, they've got a quality and a skill in them.
Yeah, or they've probably developed it over years, and not even known about it. So
Definitely.
Absolutely. Progress,
Progress,
over
progress.
perfection,
Any day.
100%. And yeah, like don't stop yourself. Just small steps.
Yeah.
Small steps. So, you know.
An old mentor of mine used to say to me, because I used to try and want to jump from here right to the end.
To know where we get that.
No, not too sure. And he said, Stu, inch by inch, life's a cinch. Yard by yard, life is hard. And he was absolutely spot on, because you just got to take those steps to get. And I think that taking the steps to make the progress over a period of time gives you more strength.
Yeah, there's some comments here on Instagram. So, Anna's saying she felt like she judged herself the hardest. These are 3 creatives, so this is really interesting. Laura's mentioned doing something creative, you never feel that it's good enough. And Nikki's saying, agree, Laura, who's also a creative. So, you know, it's the 3 of you, if you haven't read The Artist's Way, I highly recommend it. I've just started reading it, and it is very inspiring the whole point of the book is actually for artists or creatives or people to get out of their own way, like to recognize that it's not just about you or your perception of you. There's this whole bigger thing. So it's a great book if that's an area.
See, I'm not arty or creative in any shape or form. But I understood, or I thought that art was from within to out. So I thought that art was somebody putting out what they feel, what they're experiencing, what their picture of life or picture of their creativity is. So it's for them, and not for other people.
If you're doing it, if you're putting it out there, then you're putting yourself in a big position of vulnerability to be.
So, how can you kind of work on that? Or maybe that's
and I think
the
different thing with these creatives here as well is they're doing it for other people. Okay, so if you're not just doing it for yourself, you have other people's expectations to take into account.
Would it be the fact that you've been asked to do it in the
vulnerability in sharing our creative work, and it's up for judgment by the opinions of others by default? Yeah, absolutely. So this is the thing, anybody who creates something and puts it out there, we're all open, and everybody, well, art's a great example, like one person could think a dot on a piece of paper is, worth £1 million, and the next person could be like, that is a dot on a canvas. Like, seriously, why are you paying £1 million? But it could move the next person.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of life, really, isn't it? The beauty of us all being so diverse. But it's a hard one to accept that not everyone will like you, and not everyone will like what you do.
Yeah.
That's one I've struggled with. And probably overcome to a point. But equally, it's still hard if you get a negative review or feedback or something.
And it's finding a way to gravitate towards those that serve you rather than being gravitated towards those that make you feel
less than. So and all those ladies who questioning your creativity, you're all freaking incredible creatives, awesome, by the way, with incredible skills to share with the world. And I admire you all incredibly. You're all awesome.
Tremendous. And keep it up.
Yeah. Totally.
Keep it out there.
Share your magic with the world. A lot of saying, it can't easily be checked off. How do you know when you're there? So I think when you're there, I know for me, a lot of, with regards to that feeling of being judged and not worrying about what other people think, is truly showing up for the people who matter. So not trying to please everyone, not trying to create work or meditations for me, or the membership that will suit absolutely every single person, because it will never suit everyone. Okay, and in trying to please everyone, you please no one. Somebody else once said that quote to me, and I thought that's so true. But I know you do a lot with branding, Laura, and looking at people's niche and staying within your niche. You're not there to serve everyone. You're there to serve your people, the people that you align with, the people that you resonate with, the people that are within your vibration, that are, you know, and yeah, sorry, I mean being creative. The reason it's tricky is that you're never quite done. Ah, cool. Okay. Yeah, like, you're never done. It's constantly developing. Hence the reason I woke up at 4:40 this morning with my brain like, oh, I could do this. You know, that creative brain doesn't really stop. Hence why meditation is so valuable. Gives you that moment to reflect.
Correct. Anyway.
Okay. Sorry, Stu. Took over your progress chat.
Not at all. It's our chat. And everybody else's chat. Great that everybody's come along this morning. So
absolutely. Does anybody have any questions before we nip off? Before I nip off and meet a beautiful creative who might just be watching. So yeah, let us know any questions, and as usual, feel free to message us, connect with us. You know, let us know what's going on for you guys as well. And we're here to share and support you guys and whatever comes up. Alrighty.
Okay, well, have a great week.
Beautiful, beautiful week.
Hope you make progress and whichever you're choosing.
Let us know. If you want accountability, pop in the comments what you're going to progress with definitely. By next week. Let us know.
Great shout.
And then if you come back next week, we can check in. So, sending you all our love. Virtual hugs.
Virtual high fives.
Cool. Right.
See you
bye. See you later. Oh, thanks for all the hearts on Insta.